Yo, so we are back in this thing like we never left, okay? I don't know about you, Tiera, but as you can see, by the look on my face, yo, I am so glad to be returning to the City of God. We are finally, the first episode of the new series has premiered on Max. City of God, The Fight Rages On is going to be the English title that we're going to be working with as we discuss this series for the next few weeks. Oh, Tiera, when you got in, first of all, we recently reviewed and watched the original films and so on and so on. So we are now re-submersed into that world with this first episode coming out. How did you feel going into it? Were you as excited as I was? To return to this perfectly chaotic world of the City of God. How did you feel?
I gotta be honest, T. I don't think that I was nearly as excited as you. As you know, I'm new to the City of God family, and I am all in on the movies. I am a little bit skeptical after episode 1 of this new series, but I'm excited to get into this review. We gotta talk about it.
Okay, let's just remind people what we are getting into with a quick trailer of the new series, and then we'll be right back to discuss episode 1 of City of God, The Fight Rages On.
Nos últimos 20 e poucos anos, eu saí da favela, mas a favela não saiu de mim.
Calma, gente, calma. Tem pressa.
É guerra que o Curió quer, é guerra que ele vai ter. Na favela, é uma luta diária. Quando uma pessoa luta, todo mundo luta junto.
Familiar face straight away, reminding us that we are really back in the thick of it. We get Alexandre Rodrigues returning as Buscapé. Oh, well, my bad. Wilson.
This
is news to me. So Buscapé, aka Rocket from the original City of God film, is older now. He's 40 plus years old. He's made a career and a name for himself in Brazil, being this photographer for news, but he actually leans a lot more towards morbid photography, if you will.
Ooh, yes.
But I will say this, they did a good job of reestablishing us being back in that world. They pulled in a lot of clips from the original film for reference points, not necessarily flashbacks, but just reference points to, get you back into the thick of it. The same way that the movie started out is how the new series started out. So those close-up shots, sharpening the knives on the rocks, the chickens, et cetera, et cetera. I was like, oh, okay, I recognize this. This is a familiar feeling. So we get Buscapé, who, again, he's made a name for himself. He's official now. He's working for, was he working for just a paper or a news organization?
I believe it was nowadays newspapers are media organizations. Yeah. We'll go with that.
And he seems to be pretty well liked. And enough people still remember and know Rocket or Buscapé, because he doesn't want to be called this. Enough people know and remember him and respect him enough in the favelas to not harm him directly. But did you notice at the beginning when he was kind of giving us the rundown about what he's been up to since, that he did get caught up in a couple of crossfires of some action?
Oh yeah, he talked about shrapnel in the shoulder, being shot, having nails in the leg, which I appreciated that because it added some realism to it. Because it's there's no way you're out here on the streets not getting caught up.
And what the one thing that I enjoy the most out of this is it's true to form for what City of God was and what we're getting in this first episode. So we knew to expect some familiar faces, but I did not expect them to reach deep down in that bag and pull out people who you just would not have thought.
Baby, they reached. Okay.
But what I really like is that they maintained, because so often in shows and series and reboots and things like this, people get recasted by different actors, and eventually you get used to it. You know, it's like, okay, this is who this character is. They said, we're not doing any of that here. We're not doing any of that. If you were in the original City of God and we brought that character back, guess who's playing that character? The original actor. This I loved. Buscapé introduces us to some other familiar faces as we go through and we learn about the what everybody's been up to. So who's our best friend, if you will, Tiera?
That would be Stringy, and Stringy is back. Original actor, he's back. I love it.
Again, in the original Stringy, he just was, running alongside Buscapé and just like doing his thing. He wasn't really a important character like that in the first movie, but I think this is brilliant for what we're going to be getting into for this series. The brilliance is the fact that the characters that we see the actors that we see reprising their roles, a lot of them were memorable, like visually, did not have super memorable roles in the original film, but you recognize them. And the reason that is brilliant is because it allows you to sort of branch or spin off with familiar faces but new storylines, right? If you notice, in the first half of the episode, we get Buscapé, we get his background, we learn he has a daughter, so he's definitely been up to a lot. We get to meet his mother.
He only has one daughter, not like 7.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
One is a lot.
One is a lot. We get to meet his mother, which we didn't before. So we see that he has some family that still lives in the favelas. It's like, okay, yeah, you get little moments where it's like, here's some new characters that we can introduce around Buscapé. But because he was such an integral part of the City of God, the original series, he has a built-in, baked-in backstory. So you can't like make up stuff with that. But with these other characters, you can. So with Stringy, we knew of Stringy because Stringy was hanging around. But now Stringy, he's, trying to help the community, trying to get into politics, trying to do his thing. You can build on that. I did like that. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think just overall, the way that they were able to bring back so many characters is really dope to see. It's cool that we live in a time where they can, as you say, reach back and get people who are still alive, who are still well, who are also still willing to take these roles on. Like, I think that in itself is dope. But yeah, like the fact that we can bring in characters who were kind of minimal and maybe forgot about. And I think you said it just now. You said you know them by face, but you don't really know them by name. You don't really know like their stories, but you know them by looking at them. I can appreciate that, like you said, we can now bring them in and create storylines about them, because two things. One, you don't have the fans of the City of God universe being mad because you're changing a story about a character that they love. These are kind of side characters. And then two, it brings in actors who are probably available, and that's not me shading, I'm just saying, who are probably available to do these roles. So it's like, it's a win all around. So I can really appreciate that about this new series. It's honestly probably my favorite thing about this new series. Has me the most excited. And I like, in this first episode, they did a good job of not doing flashbacks, but doing those callbacks and like reminding us, okay, this was the character then, this is them now.
Yes.
I feel like I needed that because, I'm new to the universe, but also if anyone who is just starting the series as a one-off and has never seen the films, I think it's important for them to kind of have that background. I think they did a phenomenal job of doing that.
They did an excellent job without making it, corny.
Yeah.
You mentioned when we reviewed the film itself, you just made me think of it. You mentioned that one of the other characters, amongst all these characters that we're speaking of, but one of the other characters was the City of God itself, right? And what I think they did successfully here was they answered the cries and woes of the people who did not necessarily like how the City of God portrayed Brazilian favelas and life in the favelas and things like this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so what they do in this first episode is they show us a lot of the beauty of being, in the city of God, being in Brazil, being in the favelas. They show us community. They show us kids playing, laughter, them building out floats and all kinds of like great, good vibes. And I think that was very intentional and well done because it gave us another side while we are being resubmerged into this world of crime and craziness. There are other sides to it. And I'm glad that they did not wait to show us the other sides.
Yeah, I agree. I want to add to that too, because I totally agree with that. And I also think it shows growth, right? Like, we don't want to see a place that's exactly as it was 20 years ago. We want to see some sort of evolution in that place, not just the people, but the place itself. So I think they did a beautiful job of showing that. And again, if you're new to City of God and you haven't seen the films, you're going to have a different perspective out the gate because of the way that the city is being portrayed.
Right. And then there are a lot of other characters that we'll get into later, but one that I want to mention on this particular quick video is Bernice, Roberta Rodrigues. First of all, I'm gonna just say it. Roberta been fine all her life.
Bombshell.
All her life. And I was interested to see how they were going to bring Roberta back into the fold because her performance and her character's part in the original series was so crucial. Such a memorable storyline, memorable scenes. And I was like, okay, how does she... Because the last we knew, she was leaving the City of God, right?
Right.
So how do they reincorporate her? I think it was a good call to make her sort of be this character who has become hardened by what happened in the past, but cares so much about where she comes from and wanting it to be better that she's like, what happened to my young boyfriend back in the day, as a kid growing up in the favelas, I don't want that to keep happening to these other kids, right? So she comes in as an overall auntie, giving, that auntie energy, like, basically she would be the one that I would expect to be like, let me see your grades. Even though she ain't related to you. You know what I mean?
Yes. Very let me see your grades. Very like, did you brush your teeth today? Go back in the house and brush your teeth.
Exactly. Exactly. But overall, we are set up with crucial villains in this. We get Braddock. Braddock, this was also an interesting call to make because this was one of those characters that were so tertiary before, but you remember him reaching back deep to pull up someone and call them up and say, hey, can you reprise this role? He played this role when he was very young. Okay. And so for him to be called upon and brought back into the fold and say, hey, we need you to reprise this, and he's available to do it. Chef's kiss for me. He was a runt back in the day, running the streets, causing problems. He was the main one who was getting the other kids to shoot down Lil Z, if you remember. And we see him in prison. He's coming out of that thing, and it's pretty much up from there, Tiera. Here's the thing, though. I don't think that he is the ultimate villain. I just don't. I think that our ultimate villain is actually, what's the young lady's name that I can't stand that I told you earlier? Jarusa.
Jarusa, not Jules.
Jarusa. I'm going to have fun hating her for the however long, many episodes we got. Because, she... What's the word I want to use, Tiera?
You know the word, just don't say it.
She's a bitch.
Didn't I tell you not to say it? Didn't I tell you not to say it?
Jarusa is coming off as the girlfriend to Braddock, who just got out of prison, who is trying to sort of reacclimate to the City of God and get back to the game. The only problem is the game is now run by this guy Curio, and Curio he ain't going for it. he raised those kids in the favelas. He raised them to be thugs and criminals, and he be damned if someone's gonna come out of prison and basically like run up on him and like say, "Hey, look, let's pick up where we left off." Right? There are enough elements in the series starting out that I am pleased with, that I think would easily carry me throughout the rest of the episodes. If you like shows like Power, you like crime dramas, you like The City of God, I think that you're gonna love what the new series is giving. Episode 1 out the gate, I'm gonna go ahead and give my rating, Tiera. Mm-hmm. I'm up there with it. It's gonna be an Angela Bassett for me. I'm giving it all of that because it's so authentic. And everything about The City of God thus far has been so authentic in the way that they choose characters, the way that they assign roles, the things that they lay out. And I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to appeal to people who are already into this genre of thing, while also giving us new elements and new things to like take in. Like I said, the good parts of, you know, growing up in the favelas, the moments that are more intimate and more subtle, and then adding in new characters to the mix and seeing how things, you know, continue on. I'm ready. I'm ready. That's where I'm at. What about you?
So for me, out the gate, I can't give it to Angela Bassett. I can't believe you are going here that fast.
I'm already there, yo.
I can't believe this. This is a new TeaRon. I don't know.
New?
But you also love City of God.
I love City of God. I love it.
Out the gate. No. So I too am happy to see the return of a lot of these characters. Our main character, Rocket, happy to see him. Love that he's back. But I gotta be honest, this is hard for me because I do love these crime dramas. I just told you I was rewatching Power. I do love these sort of series and shows that you can get into, and there's all these different storylines and characters. I love that stuff. But for me, the thing that I loved the most about City of God is that it was kind of gritty. Like the original was like real gritty, kind of like it was one of those things where maybe they didn't know what they were doing when they were doing it. They didn't know what it was going to be. So now fast forward, there's like all this production. It's not as gritty. It doesn't feel as like, I don't know. It just feels like a little too polished, if that makes sense. Out the gate. And I don't know if that's the HBO effect. I don't know. We got to see. But out the gate is a little polished for me. I'm missing that grit. I'm missing that like that feeling of it. So yeah, I think I'm gonna start off with a Queen Latifah.
Okay.
I'm not going low. I'm going with a Queen Latifah because I think it's a solid show so far. I think it's a solid first episode. Nothing bad is happening. I'm just missing that grit. It's a little polished for me based off of what I just watched a couple weeks ago when we reviewed the movies.
Yeah, I expected that though. I expected it for them when they came back to have a bigger budget. For it to look a little different because it's a series as opposed to one long movie. So I did expect some visual change, and I see your point. I think that the blending of the old footage with the new footage also reminds you like what it looked like versus what it is now too. So that could have been like, okay, wait a minute, this looked a little different or felt a little different visually back then as opposed to now. But we got HD cameras now, 4K. I get it.
It's true. I miss the grit though. I do.
So if you've been watching this far, just know that we are going to continue this conversation because we want to dive a little bit deeper into the characters and the things that have been laid out. But we're going to stop here for now. And we want to know if you watched the first episode of City of God, what you thought about it. Did they do a good job setting us up with our past characters, but also introducing new characters, the plot lines, where you think that things are going, some of the twists that they've thrown in. We're going to keep that conversation up a little bit here in a moment. But for now, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit that notification bell. and let us know what you thought of the show. I am TeaRon. You can find me on Instagram at TeaRon World, on TikTok at TeaRon with 2 underscores on the end. And you can always email us recommendations, informations, invitations, all the Asians, except for the haterations, of course. Ubiquitousblacks@gmail.com. And you can donate to the show, support the show. We'd be greatly appreciated, but we'd be more appreciative of your likes and your comments on this video. Let us know what you think of the revival of City of God. Tiera, where can they find you?
Come on, revival. All right, guys, you can find me on my YouTube channel. It's Tiera Takes Travel. So that's TIERA Travel, TRAVEL. And of course, that means I'm over there doing travel content and travel talks. So come by, say hello, check out my videos, and hit the subscribe button. I would appreciate that. You can also find me on the socials as well at Tiera Takes. And if you just want to go to my website and make it easy, it's tieratakes.com. Also, of course, all things Ubiquitous Blacks, you can find me there as well. And as TeaRon says, please send all your Asians our way. So suggestions, no haterations. And we'll review what you send us and we'll check it out. Yeah, we have a time making a list for y'all to review. So if you send us things our way, we appreciate that. So
definitely. So we'll continue our conversation for those interested in a more exclusive manner. But until we meet you all again next week, peace out.